Thank you everybody for your presentations. They were very, very interesting. And now we have the Q&A. So we have some questions. Students from home that are watching the Open Doors can write questions live. But I will start with a personal question, because I heard the word through your whole presentation, which is culture. And I remember when I started studying here, I took a course with Professor Carlo Cubero. And the first question he asked us was, what is culture? And then we took a whole course trying to answer the question. And now I'm asking you, because I have the power to ask questions now, and I'm taking the power, and I'm asking you, what is culture in your specific field, and why is that important? So we can start from Estonian studies.
Okay, so the question is, what is Estonian culture?
Yeah.
Basically, perhaps the first idea is that Estonian culture consists of Estonian literature, Estonian music, Estonian film, and so on. But I will not put it so narrowly, because for my opinion, if we are thinking about the Estonian culture, it's more about the Estonian mindset. It's about how Estonians see themselves and how the Estonian environment actually constitutes everything around us. So it's when I'm thinking about Estonian culture, then it must be something about our history, of course, what is the meaning of our language, what's our nature. So it's all perhaps that really builds Estonian identity, and we can really say that Estonian culture is based on Estonian identity.
Okay, thank you. Carlo.
In anthropology, I would say that our approach to culture is oftentimes we exchange the word for experience. Anthropologists their work is characterized by conducting participant observation. So let's say, in my case, for example, I go to the northeastern archipelago of the Caribbean, in the northeastern Caribbean, and live there for an extended period of time. I keep visiting regularly, and my publications and my films are about my experiences there and the time relationships that I develop with people. So if I were to offer like a technical one-sentence definition, it would be like the experience of a relationship. You know, how does a relationship work, feel, and express itself in day-to-day life? That's another very important part of anthropology. Yeah. So that would be a very quick technical answer.
Good.
Yeah, so I will continue from my colleagues' very insightful responses. So yeah, there is a kind of a narrow definition of culture which now likely belongs to the past, that it's the best that we have to offer. Yeah, there were books, lists of great books and great films, and so eventually there were a lot of different disciplines such as post-colonial studies and you know, gender studies that started to pay attention to the fact that it's a very kind of selective list. So obviously in this program we don't consider culture to be that narrow, that it's just the best that we can offer as humans, but it is more to do with experience. It's culture is acting through you. You are part of culture, whether you realize it or not. It has certain patterns. It can be studied, and it reveals a lot about a kind of a nation, a nationality, you know, a group of people, a subculture, so forth. So there are reasons why certain culture groups kind of separate themselves so that they read the signals of culture, and they maybe don't want to abide by the more general perception of culture.
Okay, thank you. So another question, which is, so you're a head of programs, and why are you so passionate about your program? What is your mission there?
Well, my mission is to put it very briefly, I want to make Estonia bigger.
That's cool.
Yes, that's because, you know, there is only 1 million Israeli people who speak Estonian as their mother tongue. But actually, I believe that when we have more students and who know actually this Estonian mindset, Estonian culture, we will make Estonian bigger.
Yeah, it's like Estonia has a lot to give.
Yes.
And okay, nice.
I would start by saying that anthropology offers a vocabulary and a set of principles to describe a relationship. In doing so, by describing a relationship, either it's between two people or a more collective relationship, in this process of describing it and understanding it and you bring attention to it. And you're capable of highlighting qualities that we take for granted, that we don't think about often.
Yeah.
And by bringing attention to these items, we can make the world a better place. The role of anthropology is not just to describe the world, but to change it.
Wow, huge ambitions here. What about you?
Right, so why are we proud and ambitious, interested in our program? I guess to some extent our students and professors are like cultural, addicted to culture, we could say, so that one discipline is not enough, and that they are interested in different fields and their connection between them. But I think we could bring maybe a parallel with something like Morpheus and Neo's dialogue from the film Matrix. That in one point when Neo enters the real world, he asks why my eyes hurt, and then Morpheus replies that you have never used them before. So the thing here is that I don't know if we can have quite the same impact on our students, but we do provide you kind of new pair of lenses and new vision that you start to see films, read novels differently, and when you have a kind of a larger readership, you're quite familiar with the field of culture, you start to see the subtle connections, the kind of hints and plays and homages that texts play with one another. And eventually it's about, enriching your life. I mean, you can be in a really big company, but will you have these good conversations? And that's something as well, to experience life to its fullest, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. So we have a question from the students. What's the hardest course of your program, or the course that students struggle the most with? Who wants to start? Who knows that?
I can start by saying just that I think that if a course is hard, then there's something wrong with it. So that's usually, I would think that if it's hard in a kind of a bad way, that it's difficult to get through. So I would say that there's, the professor needs to kind of read students' feedback.
What's hard in the good way?
Hard in the good way is where you put in a lot of kind of work. You really do some reading, and of course, I mean, we can all turn on Netflix, and I'm not kind of contrasting Netflix with reading academic texts, but the point is that there's always something else to do. But if you really take the time, and after these years, the 2 years you have done, and you look back to it at some point, you think, it was worthwhile. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I kind of had this maybe more demanding phase in my life, that I am kind of a different person because of that.
Yeah, I can confirm that. So?
Okay, perhaps I will not select one course that is challenging, but I think that the most challenging is writing this MA thesis. Writing the MA thesis, and also that means that the MA seminar that supports writing the thesis. I don't know if it's in your programs also, but during our course we are writing chapter after chapter. So at first trying to write academic English, it's quite challenging, and then to think academically, that you have to prove all your arguments, you have to reference all your arguments, that it's a totally different way of thinking that you're doing it every day. Even if you have perfect speaking like this colloquial English, it's really challenge to write academic English, that the final result would be perfect. So I think that's the thing that the students are struggling most.
That's nice, because I'm gonna take this course in this semester. Thank you, and now I feel better about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dissertation I think is definitely the most challenging part of the project, and I think it's not because the dissertation is special or peculiar is that writing is difficult, like Piret was saying. Writing, a phrase that I say sometimes to students, I say I've been doing this for 15 years, and trust me, it doesn't get easier. Writing is difficult for any of us, even you know, it is, and it takes some time to develop that skill, to develop the habits, the discipline. It's a new practice. I compare it with physical exercises, like long distance running.
Yeah.
You know, the more you do it, the better you get at it. But it's still physically very, very, very demanding. So I would say that, yeah, writing the dissertation is, and also it's not just it's technically challenging, but because it's the most important component of the course, of the whole MA, a lot of emotions go in, a lot of attention goes into it. So we worry about that, you know, and so that makes it. In terms of, I was meeting with a former student of ours over the weekend, and I didn't ask him, but I think his wife was thinking of coming to Tallinn University. I was encouraging her to do so. And he said, well, you know, in anthropology, there's this class called ethnographic readings, where you have to read a whole book a week. And that's, you know, just be aware of that. It's a graduate course. These 3 courses, it's a graduate course. So there is a lot of reading. So if you don't come to the program already with a habit on reading, well, you're going to develop it when you come here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, last question. What are you looking for in students, both during the application process and during the semesters? What are you searching for in them?
What we search for in the application process, well, throughout the process, I think the most important quality for success in our program that I can think of right now, next week I'll say something different, is motivation.
We're going to do an open doors also next week so that you can...
Okay, good, I can correct myself. Motivation. It is a difficult course. It takes a big part of your time. And especially if you've been out of school for a while, let's say you finish your BA, you take 1 or 2 years break, and you come back. These are habits, new habits to develop. So I would say motivation is a very important thing to maintain. Curiosity, right? An open mind. And what in terms of the application process, what we're looking for is we are a very small program, and we are developing a very specific strand of anthropology. So we're looking for people that fit our profile. So anybody's interested in studying anthropology that is looking at us online, I would recommend that you go through the staff pages, look us up, Google our names, have a look at some of the topics that and start getting an idea of that. Look at our course list and start getting an idea of the kind of stuff that we work on, the keywords that we use. And if that resonates with you, then apply, and you should be successful in your application.
Nice. What about Estonian studies?
Okay, of course, motivation is the most important aspect. But besides that, in Estonian studies case, it is also important that people have learned languages, that they have some kind of habit learning foreign languages, because Estonian language is quite hard to learn. But say when you come from US or some UK, that besides English you have learned some other language as well, say German, French or whatever, but learning languages is a good aspect that we are looking for. So.
Yeah. What about that?
Yeah, because I would just say that the languages are kind of this, they're like key. They provide access to these different cultures that we are so interested in. But yeah, I would continue with this kind of motivation, and I think as you rightly kind of hinted, that behind the motivation you have to have curiosity or interest. So this is, I think, what we would like to see in a student, that they are actually interested in something in the audiovisual or text-based media that you know, talks to them and sparks their interest, and that they are willing to kind of spend time to kind of look into it in more depth in a kind of academic manner. It's, you know, creatively done, still that it's interesting enough to kind of pay attention to it. And also, I think, coming back maybe to the last question as well, that this writing and reading, they are skills. And so, as Carla said, you know, like training your body or something like that, it's a skill, and you will get better at it. I think it was Goethe who said that he, you know, learned to read in his 60s or 70s, so that it takes some time, but this is also something that is motivating, that you can break the thesis down to smaller chunks. If you learn how to write, then you understand the texts and different parts of text. They do different types of work, so they have different functions. So it's not that I have to write 70 pages at one go, but they are like little pieces that, like, you know, on a chessboard that do different types of moves.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it was like an interesting chat.